be going over the workings of the crystal light bar, control box, power supply, things like that. When you get your system, you're going to get a black power supply. This power supply plugs into the side of the crystal lights, and there's only one place to put it in. Very straightforward. It works on 220 or 120 volts, so basically any kind of electricity in the world it'll work with. If you're trying to make it work off your car, then you need to have a 12 volt inverter to do that. These are designed for houses. Here is the light bar. You're going to see it more or less like this when you unpack it. To get the arms upright, take them, make a X. So you're going to make an X. And you see how these arms go into the bar itself. They kind of go like that. That is where you're going to lift it. So the tall part is going to be on the same side. So you make an X, open one, open the other. If we don't make an X and we try to open it, what will happen is these will collide with one another. So it gives you the room that you need to open it up. You can then place it in the holder. Sometimes it's easier to put one side in before the other. The connector will only go in one area on the control box as well. If you've put this in so the connector can't reach, you need to spin the control box around and then reinsert it. Once the light bar itself is on, you can go ahead and take off the Velcro straps. I wouldn't recommend doing it when the Velcro straps, I wouldn't recommend the Velcro straps be taken off before you put this on. And so once we get that in place, you can see that the movement allows it to go in and out, up, down. In fact, we can do a variety of movements as the situation needs. We can even move this slightly over to one side or another. If your client is on the massage table and maybe they're about 5 inches further up or down than the last patient, you can go ahead and work with it and move it that way. So it gives you a lot of flexibility as well. And it's also light enough for you to just take it and move it. Now, the tripod itself, I'm not showing you because we have a separate video for that. Suffice to say, we do have a lot of movement with the tripod itself, so it warranted its own video. And let's go ahead and power this up. And initially what you're going to find is that the light system will be on whatever you last left it on. And so basically if you hit the memory button, which is M, on the top of the controller, it's going to create a memory of whatever program that you have running. And there's a total of 15 programs in here. We have some that flash, some that are just for the chakra colors, some are steady. There's a whole mix of them. We have a separate piece of paper that outlines and describes what those are. And so you find the one you like when you like it, and you just want to come back to it the next time you power on or off the system. Go ahead and hit the M button for memory. If you run across one of the ones that flashes, you can speed it up or down with the positive or negative. That's the only thing that the positive or negative does. It doesn't control brightness, it just controls the speed of the flashing. And the other buttons we have on here is the power button, turn it on and off, and also the full spectrum button. Now, if you decided not to get the full spectrum lights, you're still going to get the button with the ability to run full spectrum. We just need to do a upgrade on that and send you a dongle to get it to work. So it's already installed, it just doesn't turn on until at a later point. And on the bottom side of the Vogel holders, we have the full spectrum lights. And those show up as pink. And what it is about 60% infrared and about 30% ultraviolet. Now the infrared has a wide spectrum to it, and what it's doing is calming the cells, helping inflammation, helping a whole sort of issues with the skin and other parts of the DNA and things like that. And so we have a setting for high and low. When a client's on there, we do recommend having them use an eye pillow or in the very least close their eyes because it can get quite bright. There isn't enough UV to cause cellular damage. The UV is there to create shifts and change within the cells. I don't know how long the exposure level would be, but I am imagining it's only a few minutes of being outside in direct sunlight, the equivalent. It's more about the information that's being sent through the frequencies that the UV provides. So when it comes time to mounting the crystals, they'll come in their own case or some other support package for this. And if you're lucky enough, all the crystals are the same diameter, which means we're able to put the rubber surround rings that hold the crystals in place already in the holders. If not, they're going to be, the rings are going to be with each individual crystal, because if a crystal is too big or too small, it'll either sit too high or too low, so we need to package them with the associated crystals. But if they are all the same and you don't see them in the crystal box, look on the holders because they're going to be sitting already on there. And they are designed with more or less a pyramid shape, so the fatter part sits in the holder, and there's a little detent, a little notch that it plugs into. And then once that's in, it doesn't come out easily. When you put a crystal in place, it's going to actually lock that in. So as we grab a crystal, we gently push down on it, and it locks that crystal in place and perfectly centers it every time. On these, we were fortunate enough to get all the crystals the same size, so we went ahead and mounted all these rings. Now let's say I have a bigger crystal. This crystal is not fitting in here. I would need to take out that ring, put in the correct size ring. In this case it's so big we don't need a ring for it. And then it would sit in place. So the rings are modular based on the crystal size. Now for this system, we can only go so big. It's approximately 1 inch across, or 25 millimeters. And if you had a bigger crystal than that, I'm sorry to say you wouldn't be able to use it in here. So that is the mounting of the crystals. These holders are designed to articulate and move themselves around. We can do a variety of different interesting ways to put them. I have seen some interesting get-ups, and it's all based off of what you feel. We do have the first and the last one with one little digit longer, and we did that so you could turn it and more or less direct it into the crown or the root chakra. All of this is more or less surrounding their head. We could have these facing inward like this. So their head is here and their body is down. Or you can angle it more or less like that. On some of these models, we do have the ability for the bar to separate. We didn't design the bar to separate for you to create new inventive ways to do it. We did that just for shipping. If you do go ahead and start playing with it like that, play with it at your own risk. I haven't had enough time to research this, so if the cable were to become broken or crimped, you'd have to send it back to me or bring it to an electronics shop to have them resolder, because it's a basic Cat5 network cable that's inside here. And so it pops back together. And that's it.